for joining an Oakland Community Health Network webinar. For this presentation, please follow the etiquette stated in the webinar code of conduct. We ask you to please keep your microphones muted. If you are on a computer, your microphone icon should have a slash through it. If it doesn't, your microphone is on. For those who have called in by phone, you can mute and unmute by pressing the star button and then pressing the 6 button, or star 6. The chat message box is shown or hidden by clicking on the comment balloon right next to the hand icon. Please use the chat message box to interact and to ask questions during the presentation. Live closed captioning in English only is available through the full downloaded computer version of Microsoft Teams on the 3-dot More Options pop-up menu. By clicking on the 3 dots More Options icon in the middle of the icon bar, it will bring up and down the More Options pop-up menu shown in the slide. Clicking on the red phone icon will disconnect you from the webinar, and you will then need to sign in again to return to the webinar. If you put your hand up by clicking on the hand icon, remember to put your hand down by clicking on it again. If you want to hide the icon bar, and you will because it gets in the way of captions, just click anywhere on your screen and then don't move your mouse or touch your trackpad. To unhide it, you just move your mouse again or click on the screen again. This presentation is being recorded, and by participating in it, you are consenting to the recording of your participation in the webinar. We are now going to begin the webinar. Thanks for attending. We will take questions and comments at the end of the presentation, first from the chat message box and then from participants by phone. Charlotte will now welcome you to our presentation, Voting is Advocacy.
Welcome. Your vote matters. Voting is advocacy. I'm Charlotte Richardson, chair of the empowerment team here at Oakland Community Health Network. I'm here to let you know your vote matters and that voting is advocacy. I first would like to answer a question of who is bringing you this webinar. The who is OCHN. OCHN is Oakland Community Health Network. We provide services for 28,000 adults and children with intellectual and developmental disabilities, mental health concerns, and substance abuse disorders. Our mission is to inspire hope, empower people, and strengthen communities. Secondly, I would like to answer who this webinar is for. This presentation is for anyone and everybody who have or does not have a disability and is interested in voting and advocacy. The who is all of you. Now let's talk about why. Why you should vote. Well, it's your right. Regardless of who you are, you make a difference. It's important to advocate for yourself. The reason that you should vote. It influences change and makes a positive difference. Your vote matters. Your voice matters. Your role. You have a role as an advocate to advocate for yourself and to make your voice heard. Topics in this webinar will cover why your vote matters, important voting dates, deadlines for registering, and how to register, and absentee voting. Topics of Voting 101. The voting process itself, assistance with voting, voting assistance in terminals, rights as a voter in Michigan, and online voting resources. At the bottom of this is you can go to OCHN's website, news events, and voting webinars. Mark Jones will go over this again at the end of the presentation so that you can take notes on how to get to the video and online resources mentioned in this presentation. Every vote counts. Can't stress that enough, that every vote counts. Why voting is important. It is a part of advocacy, not just letters and calling legislators. Every vote counts. Your votes add up. Everyone who votes is an advocate for themselves, making their voice count. Now we will hear from Pam, who is an advocate and a voter.
Hi, I'm Pam Casper. I'm an advocate. Like other advocates, I try to influence politicians because they make decisions about policies and funding regarding our supports, services, and entitlements like Medicaid. This is important to me, to people I care about, and to everyone. Please remember to vote.
Thank you, Pam. It is important that everyone be an advocate. My name is Betty Ruiz. I am an advocate, an author of 2 books, and a member of Easter Seals. I'm going to talk to you about what is advocacy. If you want to bring about a change, it is important that you vote. Voting is a form of advocacy. It's a form of finding the best way to improve a situation. By advocating, you can protect the rights of people to receive fair, equal, and humane treatment, improve services, eligibility for services, and enhance service quality, and ensure adequate funding is made available for valuable services that improve the lives of individuals with a disability. Who is an advocate? We have all been an advocate at some point in our lives. An advocate can be defined as a person who supports and fights for a cause or policy which they believe in. It can also be a person who works for a cause or a group, or a person who argues for the cause of another person in a court of law, such as an attorney. What do advocates achieve? Advocating is a great way to make your voice heard. It gives you the opportunity to make a difference. By advocating, you can influence public policy, laws, and budgets, educate government officials and community members on public issues, and initiate positive change for yourself, your family, and your community. Now we will hear from Micaiah on advocacy.
Hello, my name is Melchiah Newman, and it is an honor to be able to speak to you today about why it's so important to vote. I am in recovery, living with a mental health condition. I work for CNS Healthcare as the team supervisor for the award winning anti stigma program. I also serve as the vice chair of the OCHN Board of Directors. But I'm also a citizen of this great country, and I would like to see in my lifetime this country truly become one where there is liberty and justice for all of us. We're facing many challenges right now. It could be discouraging watching the news and seeing the things that are unfolding. Many of these challenges are complex and filled with emotion, but we can't allow our emotions and the things that we see paralyze us to the point that we do not exercise our privilege and honor to vote. In the United States, we're given that right. We can choose the people who make the laws and change the laws. They have the power to make this country be what the founding fathers intended when they put forth this great country so many years ago. But if we don't vote, we don't have a say. Our passion and our voice is silent. Elected officials often disregard the issues that are important to us. Why? Because we do not let our voices be heard at the ballot box. We talk a lot about advocacy, self direction, choice, self determination, and all of that is good. All of that's needed and necessary. But if you believe in these things, then you should have those principles reflected in everything you do in your life. Everything. It's a fact. Many elections are determined by just one vote. You can't afford to sit this one out. Like the famous advocate Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change that you wish to see in the world. Take a stand. Use your power. Let your voice be heard. In August, in the primary election, and then again in November in the general election. Remember, you can be the change that you wish to see in this world. Thank you so much for listening and have a great day.
Thank you, Micaiah, for emphasizing that everyone should vote. Your voice, your vote. This is not only meant to be a thumbs up. Here it means much more. Your voice, your vote makes a big difference to your neighbors, your community, and in society. Advocacy tips. When you advocate, be prepared. Know the facts of the issue. Having this information at your fingertips will help you in your conversation. Use the facts. It is often helpful to put your facts on a one-page sheet that you can distribute. Have a clear and concise message. Your audience does not have time for long conversations or documents. And lastly, nurture relationships. Advocacy is a joint venture. Your chances of success are much greater when there are large numbers of organizations and people on your side. This next video highlights many advocates and their views on advocacy.
The ability to, to have choices in my life.
And that's just about
The ability to, to have choices in my life.
and that's just about information sharing. It's about being in the community.
I worked really hard in the community because of my unique disability to get the word out that people like us should be in the community.
Speaking up for yourself, but also taking responsibility for your things.
Being able to know what you want and then being able to go for it and and having somebody else that believes in it, that's able to help you.
I'm gonna fight for those that are like me, or it don't matter. It's just I just don't like people taking advantage of.
They want to get the word out that they want something out of life.
As much as everybody tries to help people with various kinds of disabilities, we're the ones who really know what we need.
For years, the voices of people with intellectual disability were never heard. Decisions were made for them.
If it doesn't come from us, it comes from people who don't have an intellectual disability and they don't actually have the experience to talk about it.
The professionals need to listen to us more because they don't know as well as we do what we want in it.
Other people will decide what you will do. If you are not at the table, you don't know what those people are going to decide.
A part of being an advocate is to get out there and start networking.
And if you don't know how to do that, you should go and ask a self-advocate person that knows how to do it, and they'll help you.
There's tons of barriers out there, but attitudinal barriers are the biggest, I think.
The biggest thing is being included in the community with society and inclusion within college, school.
We came out here to learn from y'all anyway, and that's what we want people to understand. When we need help and all that from y'all, that's what we want.
I like to be out, helping people, and to teach people.
I learned to speak up, and not be ashamed of who I am.
Just like the civil rights movement before us, we try to do things to help people speak out for what they want and do what they believe in.
We just wanted to let everybody know just because you have a disability doesn't mean you're less than, or you don't know, or you're not committed to something.
We need a voice. We need to get people to listen.
It's really important that we speak up and tell people what is wrong in this world, and so that we can make it better and we can make a change.
Now, Mark will cover some important dates coming up relative to voting this year.
Thank you, Betty. I'm Mark Jones. I'm a customer service specialist here at OCHN, and I have what's usually an invisible disability, a severe mental health mood disorder. I believe it is of utmost importance for everyone to advocate for themselves by voting. I'm going to talk to you about some important voting dates. Knowing when elections are in your state is very important. There's 2 elections coming up this year in Michigan. On Tuesday, August 4th, we have the state primary election where people get to choose which candidates are put on the ballot for the general election in November. Most contests in the state primary are for the House of Representatives and for offices in the state of Michigan, as well as for local elections. The general election on Tuesday, November 3rd, is when citizens throughout the country vote for who they want in office at all levels, federal, state, and local. Now I will go over some important voting registration deadlines. There's some important deadlines that you need to know, especially if you are not registered yet at the address where you reside, particularly if you plan to vote in some other, or plan to register in some other way than in person with your local city or township clerk. If you want to register by mail or online or at the Secretary of State's office or at the county clerk, you will need to register by July 20th for the August 4th election and by October 19th for the general election on November 3rd. However, with proof of residency, like your state ID or driver's license, you can always register in person at your local city or township clerk until 8 p.m. of the actual day of the election. There's some requirements to voting in Michigan. These requirements are: you have to be a Michigan resident at the time that you register. You have to be a resident of the city or township for at least 30 days by time you vote. You must be a U.S. citizen and at least 18 years of age at the time you vote. And additionally, you must not be currently serving a sentence in jail or in prison. If you meet all the requirements to register to vote, you can then register in a variety of ways. You are automatically registered to vote when you renew your driver's license or state ID at the Secretary of State's office, or if you change your address for those documents. You can also register online at the website resources listed at the end of this presentation. You can register at the Oakland County Clerk's office in Pontiac, and you can always register to vote at your local city or township clerk's office. You can find out the contact information on your local city or township clerk on the websites listed in the end of this presentation. I will be reviewing absentee voting in the next slide. Absentee voting. All eligible and registered voters in Michigan may request an absentee voter ballot. That's particularly of importance during this time of COVID-19. There's an application, a request for the absentee ballot, and then there's the actual ballot itself. Sometimes people get these confused. The request to have an absentee voter ballot mailed to you must be received by your clerk no later than 5 p.m. the Friday before the election. The Friday before the August 4th election is July 31st, and the Friday before November 3rd is October 30th. You can register and apply for an absentee voter ballot at the same time. After receiving your absentee voter ballot, you must have it to the city clerk by 8 p.m. on the election day. Now, Betty will go over the voting process.
When you vote, you must first mark your ballot. You can get assistance with this either from a person or by assisted technology. Second, you must place your completed ballot in the secrecy envelope. Absentee voters must use the absentee voter envelope, which was mailed to you with the ballot. Third, return ballot to the designated person. Insert the ballot into the counting machine. Absentee voters return their ballot to the clerk's office in person or by mail. And finally, congratulate yourself and be proud. You have just voted and made your voice heard. Voting assistance is available. There are people to help you vote if you request it. Every polling place has workers from both major parties who can assist you, or you can choose your own person. There are also ballot marking systems that enable you to vote independently. Often, you can do it yourself with assisted technology like the hard touch writer or the ES&S Voter Assist Terminal. Now we are going to hear a little more about Voter Assist Terminal. Voter Assist Terminals are used for the privacy and accessibility of voters who have a disability. Oakland County polling places use the hard touch writer. Please tell an election worker if you need to use a voter assist terminal. You do not have to call ahead to make sure your polling place has them. Every polling place should have a voter assist terminal. If you vote in a county other than Oakland County, you may use a different type of voter assist terminal. The hard touch writer is used in Oakland County. The AutoMark or Express Vote is used in Macomb County, and the Dominion voting system is used in Wayne County. Next slide, please. The United States and State of Michigan Constitution guarantees every U.S. citizen age 18 or older the right to vote. Whether you vote at the polls or by absentee ballot, voting is a right. If you want the candidate of your choice to win the election, it is important that you vote and make your voice heard. Many people with disabilities do not vote. They want to vote, but many are afraid because of challenges they may face, such as resources and because special accommodations are required. To overcome these challenges, federal and state laws require polling places to be ADA compliant. For instance, to accommodate the disabled, the polling place may have extra wide doorways, ramps for steps, adequate lighting. The voting station may be expandable, and the voting station may enable a person to vote while they are sitting down. Also, as I mentioned earlier, there are special machines at the polling place designed to be used by persons with a disability. This may be the Automark machine, the Hard Church Writer, or the Dominion voting machine, depending on the county you're voting in. These machines provide privacy, have a large screen, headphones, and a ballot marker. So don't hesitate to let the election worker know if you need to use one of these machines. They are there to help you. If you are blind, if you have a disability, or if you are unable to read or write, you can have a person of your choice to assist you at the polls. This person can be anyone except your employer, an employer agent, or an officer or agent of a union that you belong to. Also, I thought I might mention that this year, because of COVID-19, there will be hand sanitizers and wipes at the polling place for you to use for your safety. If you do require assistance at the polls, you may request help in advance by notifying the clerk's office. You can locate your clerk's office on one of the voting websites that we will discuss later in this training. Hearing impaired residents can direct questions they might have to the Department of State's Bureau of Elections. The email address for that department is elections@michigan.gov. Please don't hesitate to vote. Your voice, your vote matters. This year, there are major changes which affect Michigan voters. We will now show you a video on the new 2020 election law. Election laws.
That video was in our previous webinar, Voting 101, and in a little bit I'll tell you how to get to that webinar. But Michigan has voting resources online, and you might want to take note of these. I'm going to read them because I know some people are on the phone. The state of Michigan has a website, and it is www.michigan.gov/vote. And you can find your local clerk and polling location. There's also videos about the voting equipment, talks about how to register, and there's much, much more. The Oakland County Clerk is at www.oakgov.com/clerkrod. That's CLERKROD. You can register to vote and find your polling location at that website as well. And the address of the Oakland County Clerk is at 1200 North Telegraph Road, Building 12 East, in Pontiac, Michigan, 48341. Their phone number is 1-888-350-0900. That's 1-888-350-0900. 0900. And then there's the League of Women Voters. They will help you educate yourself about important voting issues. You can learn more about the candidates from them. And their website is www.lwv, League of Women Voters, mi.org. That's www.lwvmi.org. These resources can help answer individualized questions that you may have, like are you actually registered to vote at your current address? Who is your city or township clerk and what is their phone number and where is their office? You can find where your polling location is. You can find out how to register and what you need to register to vote. You can also see about requesting an absentee voting ballot application. And you can learn more about issues and candidates at the League of Women Voters website. Links to these resources are on the OCHN website, and I'll go over how to get to them on the next slide. On the OCHN website, there's tabs at the top, and you would go over to the right to the Advocacy tab. And when you click on that, at the bottom, it says elections 2020 or 2020 elections. And you can click on that, and then there's a bunch of, there's some handouts, important dates to remember, reasons to vote, the voting process, the rights of voters with disabilities, and then there's a link to Respectability Voters Guide. Also on the OCHN website, you can get to the previous webinar that we did, Voting 101. You go to the News and Event tab in the middle, and then you go down to Voting Webinars. And if you do this on your phone, you do it on a browser on your phone, like with Chrome or Safari. There is a little trick to it that when you do it, you see news and events, but you have like a little greater than sign to the right of news and events. Don't click on the actual word news and events. It will take you to a page that doesn't have the link. You need to click on that little greater than sign, and it'll drop down the menu, and then you'll see voting webinars, and you do click on voting webinars, and it'll take you to a page like the next page where it shows you Voting 101 webinar, view Voting 101 webinar, YouTube. You click on that part of the link, and it will do that. You can also do a YouTube search of OCHN Voting 101 webinar, and it will be the first webinar after the ads. So you can also get to it like that. There are subsequent webinars coming up. Those are on the next slide. In August, we have one on absentee and accessibility on August 19th. They are from 11 to 12 p.m. And then on September 16th, we have one on candidate positions and views. So those are the two that will be coming up later. And we do have these, we are planning on having them on the website recorded. So that ends the presentation part of Voting is Advocacy. You can, if you have questions, you can contact us at OCC MHA, at Oakland Community Health Network at customer service at 1-800-341-2003. If you have a question for Betty Roos, I can get it to her or to Charlotte Richardson. Otherwise, you can just ask